Euromaxx highlights. In today's show, unfinished business, architectural landmarks in Europe that were never completed. Versatile vocalist, rising star of Polish jazz, Karolina Glazer. Prussian monarch, Queen LuiseA, remembered on the 200th anniversary of her death. Euromaxx, and here's your host, Karen Helmstedt.
Hello there and welcome to our highlights of the week. Well, fashion photography does come and go, and some of it can be pretty easy to forget. But the work of British photographer Myles Aldrich is a definite exception. His pictures are a blend of fashion photography and pop art. He's already shown his work all over the globe, and now his first German exhibition has just opened right here in the capital.
Pictures whose brilliant colors are etched indelibly into memory. Women like porcelain dolls, deep in thought, far removed from the world around them. The British photographer Myles Aldridge toys with cliches and mixes pop art with lascivious sex. 13 Women is the title of the exhibition.
By calling the show 13 Women, it was as if this was my list of women who I had created and then seduced and made mine, you know? Like, I own them. But actually because they don't really exist anyway, nobody really owns them. They're just imaginary women. And if I didn't think of them, they wouldn't exist.
The main sponsor of the Berlin Fashion Week chose his picture with actress and model Milla Jovovich as the publicity poster for the event. There are plenty of photos of women in cars, but Myles Aldrich created something special by combining things that seem to have nothing to do with each other. A convertible in a living room, rabbits hopping on the road, the model sets the tone.
The idea was to make a picture that had no real idea in a way, just to be kind of quite insane. And I just started to really kind of in a almost like dreamlike way, just get images out of my head and put them on paper to create really an image that has no sense in a way, to make it interesting. Yeah, that's what I'm after.
The former fashion editor of the women's magazine Amica, Nadine Barth, organized the exhibition. She's fascinated by Myles Aldrich's view of women.
They're totally sassy, they're pop, they're colorful, they're pow. Of course he pushes limits, but he does so very aesthetically, so you pardon him for some things.
Recently, an Italian coffee manufacturer commissioned Aldrich to produce a calendar. For 14 days, huge backdrops were built and removed again in a Roman film studio to get the pictures.
I like to see my work rather like a film director, so I don't like to be limited by, you know, what I can see on the street as a surrounding. I like to build sets and create atmosphere and bring color and, you know, everything that you can have in a film, in fact, not just limited to real life. So, you know, with Lavazza supporting me, I was able to create these 6 amazing scenarios.
Playful romanticism meets super-cooled pop art, a combination that impresses the guests at the opening.
I think this eternal theme of eroticism and sex, which you see in these pictures, is put into context with great respect. I admire that.
Myles Aldrich isn't interested in portraits of men.
I think about women all the time, and men, you know, it's much more like taking a picture of a man. It's not so logical for me because I'm not really thinking about men. So there's not kind of an obsession for men in my imagination. But women, you know, I sort of find myself thinking about them a lot, so it's just one of those things.
Myles Aldrich's photos act like fireworks on the retina. If you don't want to be seduced, better keep your eyes closed.
Well, keep your eyes wide open right now as we take you on a tour of some of the great unfinished buildings around Europe. Considering how long it takes to build something like a cathedral or even a palace, it's perhaps not surprising that some projects simply never get finished. What we found interesting were the many stories behind some of the buildings and the fact that their imperfections make up much of their attraction. Like in Barcelona, in northeastern Spain, where a visit to the famous Sagrada Familia church is like watching history unfold before your eyes.
The Sagrada Familia is Barcelona's most famous landmark. The brainchild of Spanish architect Antoni Gaudí, it's been under construction for 128 years, a never-ending story, as some have dubbed it. Gaudí designed many buildings, but Sagrada Familia was his life's work. He spent 43 years working on it until he was run over and killed by a tram in 1926. Since then, architects from all over the world have come to work on the church. The Sagrada Familia Foundation collects money for the building work. Some 20 million euros are raised each year. Jordi Bonet has headed up building work for the past quarter century.
It's easier to follow Gaudí than it looks. He left behind so many elements that have been well thought through, so that we, as his followers, can understand him more easily than you'd think.
Gaudí was an intuitive architect. His ideas often developed while he worked. But there's still an underlying system to the church. It's 90 meters long and divided by columns set 7.5 meters apart. The highest tower will be 170 meters high once complete, making Sagrada Familia the second highest building in Barcelona. All across Europe, there are numerous architectural highlights that were also never finished, but unlike the Sagrada Familia, many of these will never be complete. The Palazzo Venier dei Leoni in Venice, for example. Originally conceived as an imposing home for a rich Venetian family, it never got beyond the ground floor. But that didn't stop it achieving fame as the home of the Peggy Guggenheim collection of modern art. In the museum garden, summer festivals are regularly held, and they're especially popular with young art lovers. Nobody here is bothered by the fact that the building was never finished. On an island in Lake Chiemsee in southern Germany, another famous unfinished building. The Herrenchiemsee Palace was commissioned by Bavarian King Ludwig II in 1878. Construction was halted by exploding costs and the death of the monarch. The west wing staircase is unfinished, while the south wing staircase is finished. 50 of the 70 rooms are still just shells. Nonetheless, Herrenchiemsee Palace is today one of Bavaria's main tourist attractions. Every year it attracts 500,000 visitors from all over the world. And in Scotland, the city of Oban boasts a replica of the Colosseum in Rome. McCaig's Tower was originally supposed to have a four-sided tower in the middle, but work stopped when the local businessman who commissioned it died. Now it's a park where once a week the local bagpipers play. Back in Barcelona, work on the Sagrada Familia does continue. Gaudí did not leave any building plans. He worked with plaster models, but most were destroyed during the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s. The remnants are now being painstakingly reconstructed in the basement of the church. Around 40 architects are working with the models to plan the future elements of Sagrada Familia.
I do everything in my power, and likewise, all those involved in the building seek to do their best.
But opinions are divided as to whether the church should actually be completed. In the 1950s, famous architects like Germany's Walter Gropius and Le Corbusier of France signed a petition calling for the work to be stopped. Then last year, local representatives from the area set up a foundation called Red Alarm for Gaudí.
It has nothing to do with Gaudí, and there's no way of knowing what's from him and what isn't. All the non-genuine parts should be removed and just the genuine Gaudí left to stand.
Despite its unfinished state, or perhaps because of it, the Sagrada Familia is one of Barcelona's top tourist attractions. Every year, around 2.5 million people visit the church. 80% of the construction budget comes from admission revenues.
I think Gaudí was mad. It's very impressive.
We made a deal that if it finishes and we are 80 maybe, we will be back to see it completely.
The church is due to be consecrated by Pope Benedict when he visits Spain in November. As to the estimated completion date, no one knows whether it will be finished by the 100th anniversary of Gaudí's death in 2026. But then, what's a few more years after all this time?
Well, back to Germany now, where summer is the height of the wedding season. Your wedding day is supposed to be the happiest day of your life, and brides-to-be definitely want to be the centre of attention. Well, that means they're often prepared to invest a lot of time and energy into finding the perfect dress. And many designer labels have responded with stylish bridal collections.
Light and flowing. This summer's wedding dresses from Berlin label Caviar Gauche. Corsets and hoop skirts are out. High demand for their stylish outfits prompted designers to create a special range of bridal couture alongside their regular collections. Wedding planner Birgit Lösing in Berlin knows finding the perfect dress is the most important thing for many brides-to-be.
I've recently noticed that many designers are starting to develop and offer full bridal collections instead of making single dresses to order based on individual demand.
The women who order from designer Anna Ugriumova don't want to wear ready-made bridal gowns. The Ukrainian lives in Berlin and started specializing in bridal wear 6 years ago.
My clients tend to be young, sporty, self-confident modern women who like to dress simply. They want to emphasize this elegance and style with playful details.
Her dresses are off-white, sometimes colorful. Anna Ugriumova started off very small, but now her label, Felicita Design, offers about 300 models. She sells her creations throughout Europe. Dagmar Gehl from Berlin arrives with a friend for her final fitting. The 27-year-old ordered the dress made to measure. Now it's ready for her wedding on Saturday.
This dress is made of a very light silk, almost the same weight as paper. I would describe the dress as romantic, refined, rustic.
The dress is very elegant and the flowers make it eye-catching.
Dagmar Gehl is pleased. The basic design with removable straps came from the designer. The brown tones were the bride's idea.
It would be strange to go to a wedding or see photos of another wedding where the bride's wearing the same dress. It should be your own special day with your very own dress. That's why it's nice to get it made by a designer.
A silk creation from Anna Ugriumova costs up to €2,700. And the dress is not the only cost for couples getting married.
Despite the economic crisis, I think weddings are a very resilient part of the market. It's a special day that people want to celebrate. They want to have fun, eat well, and they don't mind spending money on that.
City dwellers rarely request romantic weddings in castles when they employ Birgit Lösing's agency. They want more edgy urban venues, unsuited to voluminous princess dresses.
Most weddings take place in summer. It's hot, and people want to dance. A wedding isn't a stiff meal anymore. People want to dance and move, including the bride. It's exhausting to be wearing a 7-kilo dress. The trend is toward airy, comfortable dresses, which still look chic and stylish.
Like the creations of Caviar Gauche, who even offer trouser suits for the big day. The label has started offering a bridal couture package for €900. It includes a night in a top hotel, a 3-course dinner, champagne, and a fitting. This way, buying the ultimate wedding dress can also be an unforgettable occasion.
Well, now to a lady with an unforgettable voice. Karolina Glazer of Poland is one of the rising stars on her country's jazz scene, and she's earning rave reviews with her unique vocal style. Together with her band, she's a hot ticket at this year's Schleswig-Holstein Music Festival, and she certainly added a decidedly experimental touch.
Karolina Glazer and her band. They have 2 hours left before their performance in Hamburg. Dubbed one of the rising stars of Polish jazz, Glazer is a trained jazz singer and launched her musical career in 2003. Playing music was always something she did for fun, but she wasn't always so tuned in to her natural talent.
I didn't decide, but the jazz chosen me, because I didn't think that I'm going to be a jazz singer. It just happened one day when I was in some jam session, and one of the musicians stood up and said, "Come on, you came here, so you're going to sing or you're going to play." I didn't have my own guitar this day, so that's why I said, okay, I'm going to sing some blues. And this is how it started, actually, that I said, okay, I can be a singer. I believed in this. And then I saw that jazz gives me so many freedom.
Glazer draws inspiration from the sounds around her. She absorbs the noises she hears at home and on the go.
I'm completely crazy about rhythms of the world music, and because of those rhythms, jazz has started, yes, because the African rhythms. So that's why my journeys, because I travel really, really a lot, they give me a lot of impressions.
Glazer composes and produces most of her music herself. She plays piano and guitar, but spends the bulk of her time singing and experimenting with modern recording technology.
I always wanted to be, everything. So I wanted to be a percussion, I wanted to be a bass, I wanted to be, a piano harmonic. So that's why I was thinking how to do this, and that's why I was treating my voice very hard, just to have very large scale, very different styles, just to have many possibilities to show the emotion, the expression. I found this loop station that let me to record loops.
In Poland, Glazer has already made a name for herself in the jazz world. Her vocal range spans 4 octaves, giving her plenty of creative potential.
In my music, this is very, very important to have many voices, just to sing like so many voices.
Glazer is very disciplined when it comes to her daily practice. She also passes on record contracts she doesn't like, saying she wants to stay true to herself.
I want to give to my fans, to my public, pure music, my whole heart in this moment, real emotions, not just some show, and not like an actress. I want to be really true in this music, and even it's not a popular so much. I always wanted to be me.
Glazer dreams of singing opera one day, but until then, she'll continue to surprise audiences with her unconventional songwriting.
Now to the most popular woman in all of Prussian history and Europe's first Queen of Hearts, Louise, Queen of Prussia. And this month will mark the 200th anniversary of her death. The wife of Prussian King Frederick William III, Louise bore 10 children and died at just 34 years of age. Her legacy is still very much alive today, and we took the anniversary as our cue to visit some of the places that she loved the best.
Charlottenburg Palace in Berlin was one of Queen Louise's favorite places. She spent many summers here, enjoying especially the Baroque gardens. With her 1.74 meters height, she cut an imposing figure. She married Crown Prince Friedrich Wilhelm III at the age of 17 and became Queen of Prussia 4 years later. Louise was renowned for her beauty and was a charismatic monarch, much loved by her subjects.
She used to stay in bed until midday and drink the occasional glass or two of beer. She was a woman who drifted through life. She raised her children in a natural, loving way. She must have been a very likable woman.
Louise's apartment in the palace has been reconstructed and is a huge favorite with the public. The Queen loved intricate wall coverings of hand-painted silk. They were manufactured according to her wishes. She was also a great collector of everything from porcelain to plants.
Louise always kept a small garden in her rooms. She's said to have covered the windowsill with pots and plants and cactuses from around the world. That's something which is quite hard to recreate, but it shows she had green fingers, as people say.
The royal couple also had a small palace on Peacock Island in Berlin's Wannsee Lake. The decor has been preserved almost completely. It's one of Berlin's best-loved day trip destinations, and in 1990 was awarded World Heritage Site status. This is where Louise and her husband also enjoyed spending some of their summers. The king had peacocks introduced to the island, hence the name. The next stop on the Queen Louise route is Oranienburg, 40 kilometers north of Berlin. Louise was given this palace as a present for her 18th birthday. It's the oldest Baroque palace in the region. Further north, we come to Neustrelitz in the Mecklenburg Lakelands. Back then, it was the seat of the Dukes of Mecklenburg-Strelitz. Louise's father lived here too. The highlight of this historical tour is the neo-Gothic Palace Chapel. A bronze statue commemorates Louise. In 1945, the palace burned down and is only present in the form of a printed text. The journey ends in the hills of Mecklenburg and the district of Hohenzieritz. It was the summer seat of Louise's family and the oldest landscaped park in northern Germany. It's also where the Queen of Prussia died at the young age of 34 in 1810.
The court doctor diagnosed a bout of summer flu. It had been 30 degrees for an entire week. She travelled all the way from Berlin in the burning heat. Her condition deteriorated and got so serious that she developed pneumonia, which led to her death.
Queen LuiseA is buried in the mausoleum at Charlottenburg Palace, which is where the journey following in her footsteps ends.
Which brings us to the end of this edition of our highlights. I hope you'll join us again soon, and until then, from all of us here in Berlin, best and tschüss.